earlier today, I tweeted a blog post that I had written back in 2012 that has to do with moving past feeling smaller beats and counting smaller beats to feeling bigger pulses. I do this a lot, and I ask the people I work with to do this a lot. And I've been surprised by how reluctant people are to do this. It can be a little bit scary, but I think once you do it, you'll see the freedom that comes from doing it and the ease that playing musically, how that happens more easily when you do this. So I wanted to take a moment to demonstrate this so that you can experience it for yourself, but through me, so you don't have to try to do it yourself at first. So I'm trying to convince you all of this wonderful little tool. So the example I'm going to use is Paula Zalit's Intermezzo, which is a lovely little piece in 6/8. And so the main pulse, underlying pulse, I would say, is eighth notes, 6/8. There's 6 eighth notes per measure. Then there are some 16th notes, not a lot of them, but it's the 16th notes that a lot of students would say, well, I don't know exactly where they go, so I have to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So what I want to do is walk you through kind of my evolution of all the different beats that I feel and count, and for you to hopefully hear the difference musically that happens through doing that. So first time I'm going to play these first 2 phrases of the piece, and I'm going to count with all those 16th note subdivisions. So the counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, represent the 8th notes. The ands will tell me where to place those 16th notes when they occur. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So great, so I did the math. I knew exactly where those 16ths needed to go. Unfortunately, I don't know if you noticed, but I kept running out of breath. It's a lot of syllables to get out. It was also quite stodgy, I would say. And that is because I'm obsessing so much on the details. Now, what I would say is that is perfect for when you're learning the notes, learning the rhythm. You need to do that so you understand how it works rhythmically. But I want to move on to the next step, which would be to let go of those ands and to instead only be counting the 8th notes. So let's see how that works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, even with that slight change and that one difference in how I'm counting, it enabled me to play a little bit faster more easily, which also enabled me to breathe by the phrase. I didn't have to interrupt a phrase to breathe. Now, some people would say, but how do you know where those 16th notes fall? You have to let go a little bit, and you have to engage this background 16th notes since you just did that with the 16th notes. Hopefully somewhere they're in your body, in your ear and in your physical body, so that you do have them running in the background. You're just not obsessing over them. So that's how you'll know where those 16th notes fall. And you know the speed of them and the feel of them. Now, I'm still not content with that, but I would add here that this is the spot, this is the level that most students and a lot of musicians I work with, this is where they stop, okay? So when they go to perform, they'll be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'm not satisfied with that. So now we're gonna move to feeling 2 beats per measure. I was skipping ahead of myself. So each beat is going to equal a dotted quarter note, or 3/8 notes. So it'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, I love that level because I don't know if you noticed, but all of a sudden these eighth notes, they were much more subtle, and really I'm pretty much putting the stressor on each half measure, and it gives it a much more musical forward motion feel. Can I go even further? Why, yes, I can. So now I'm going to feel only one beat per measure. So it sounds a little bit awkward, and I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. So you can count 1, 1, 1. So we're going to do that first. So I have to feel the 8th note level and the 16th note level underlying these big beats. And the dotted quarter note. So it's 3 different levels. 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, I think saying 1 over and over again is not very musical, nor does it reflect the phrase length. So what I do to counteract that is I allow myself to say 1 for the downbeat of the first measure and 2 for the downbeat of the second measure. If this first phrase was 4 measures long, then the third measure might be 3, and the fourth measure might be 4. That's up to you, and as you get better and better at this, you can play around with those different options. So let me show you how that works. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then that would be 1 again. So this is just a really good way to experiment with feeling pulse, tempo, the music in different ways. And what I find is that it just helps the music to go forward. You're more flexible with rubato. It's much easier to do rubato. If you're playing with another musician, it would be much easier to coordinate with them too. So lots of advantages to doing this. Oh, and another advantage is that if you're playing a fast piece and you utilize this method of working in different tempos, it's actually easier to play faster. So give it a go. I'll be curious to hear how it works for you, and let me know how it goes.